I'll start
Okay.
at 11:04.
And then I'll click here.
And Fedor, how do I say your name? Is it Fedor or Fedor?
If you would say it in Russian, it will be Fedor. But I know it's hard to pronounce. So most of my friends call me Fedor.
Okay. Fedor. Okay. Excellent.
And what do your enemies call you? I'm really curious now.
They don't call me. Basically, Fedor is a synonym, like is Theodore, so that's the same Greek origin as Theodore or Ted, so this is also an option.
Okay.
Ted?
Ted. Yeah.
So do you like Ted? What do you like better?
Ted is okay. Ted is fine. It's easier for
You know, when I
you.
always say Ted, I think of that movie with the teddy bear. You ever see that? Smoking cigarettes on the couch and drinking and all that.
Excellent.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, June.
All right. We'll start now. Yep. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's VC Task Force Gary's Picks event for investors and startup. My name is Joel Rosenberg, Director of Business Development and Strategy for VC Task Force. VC Task Force is an organization where the venture community leadership comes together to address critical issues, provide workshops and other events for the benefit of the venture and entrepreneurial communities. VC Task Force provides access to an extensive ecosystem of VCs, CVCs, and angel investors. You may ask questions during the event, and time permitting, they will be answered live after today's interview. It is my pleasure to welcome Gary's Picks host, Gary Fowler. Gary is CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, an award-winning growth stage AI venture studio. Gary is also co-founder of the award-winning AI startup, Yva.ai, as well as investment firm DY Investments. Today, Gary will be interviewing special guest Fedor Antonov, CEO and co-founder of Anisoprint. Anisoprint enables 3D printing for critical industries, including automotive and aerospace. Anisoprint goes beyond current limitations of texture, shape, and size, removing the need for mold by printing with carbon, a strong but light and malleable material. Anisoprint eliminates the critical bottleneck of 3D printing, speeding the process, lowering the cost, creating an opportunity for exponential market growth. Prior to founding Anisoprint in 2015, Fedor held various senior engineering positions at tech companies. In 2013, he was a research scientist at the Institute of Mechanics at Moscow State University. Fedor earned his PhD degree in mechanics of deformable solids in 2011 at Moscow State University. He has published 16 scientific publications and holds 5 patents. Take it away, Gary.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to the show. My name's Gary Fowler and I'm the host. And welcome everybody to Gary's Picks. So it's with great honor. And Fedor has told me that I can call him Ted. So is it Dr. Ted? Because you're really doctor, yeah? Or Antonov?
Yes,
Ted.
yes.
So Dr. Antonov.
Ted, this is new to me.
I don't know. I mean, I like the TED thing so much. I think you're a doctor too. I might as well put it together. This is great. Sounds like one of those talk shows, doesn't it? Like one of those shows.
Yeah.
Hey, introducing Dr. Ted. Today we're going to sit down. Anyhow, great to have you here. And so Ted.
My new nickname was born.
Yeah, your new nickname. Do you like it?
Yeah, I do.
So what we want to do, tell me a little bit about, you were originally a stress engineer. So
yeah,
tell me a little bit about that. How did you go from where you were as a stress engineer and studying at MGU, Moscow State University, and then gone to where you are today. What's that journey like?
So basically, by my education, that's quite a weird degree. So it's a fundamental degree. So I'm a fundamental a mathematician. So I was taught to be a scientist and go deep into the fundamental science. So this is what the education program of the Moscow State University is about. But when I've graduated, it was like a very well-paid position to go into the fundamental science. Found myself in engineering disciplines, in more engineering disciplines where you get your hands on real stuff, and this was exciting. I was working as a jet engine production plant engineer, and then as a head of a group, and we were the housings for the jet engines, and this is where I met composite materials, and since then it's my I would say passion. I'm a big fan of these phenomena that we call composite materials today, and since my whole career in industry and academia, I was dealing with composite materials and basically finding new applications and better ways to apply composite materials and the unique properties of these materials. And this is how we actually came up with the idea of this technology, of this startup, because like me and the team I was working in, we all knew that composite materials are like the best materials, yeah. But the ways we manufacture them today are not very efficient, and we knew how optimal composite structures should look like with these complex internal things inside, but there was no technology that could make them physically possible, and this was the main motivation for us to look in that direction.
No, that's interesting. So you went from a mathematician to the composite material.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah. So I in my during my university, I used to work with all these huge matrices of numbers and tensors and differential equations. But now I think I forgot everything.
but now you're making money. That's the good news.
Yeah, but you know, it helps you to dig deeper and to try to understand things on the physical level, like not just on a phenomenal level, but on a where things are.
Yeah, on the real level. So tell me a little bit about it. If you look at who your potential customers are, what does a customer look like for you today, and what kind of customer are you looking for globally?
So most important thing and most important motivation for us is the vision that we have to introduce the new way of manufacturing things, or basically structures like aircraft fuselage or aircraft wings, or these flying cars or spacecrafts of the future. So this is what me when I dream of these structures in future, but this is a futuristic vision. But to get there, we need to go through smaller smaller steps, and this is not possible before you find like on every step a market niche which will bring you a revenue that will help you grow further. And of course, the technology that I would say it's one of the very new manufacturing technologies that exist today, and it has to go through a long life cycle before we will be printing these flying cars. And at the moment, there are
But I gotta
smaller.
tell you, I like the idea. I gotta tell you, I really like it, because the more and more every single day I see some incredible innovations around things like flying cars. It used to be just a dream, but now having them, these quadriceptor cars, ones that, I mean, it's interesting how it's shifted so very, very quickly. So the future is really here. The future is started. So I'm encouraged by that, encouraged by your technology to service it.
Yeah, so we do today. So we help companies mostly in aerospace and automotive or sports to replace metal parts because we believe that metal's age is gone. Replace metal parts with more weight efficient composite parts, so lighter parts, cheaper parts, more sustainable in terms of like usage of resources. At the moment, it's like smaller parts of like 1-2 feet big, but these parts can be like 3-4 times lighter than metal counterparts. And this is especially important for applications where lightweighting is needed. So it's either something flying high and fast, or something like moving really fast, or people need to carry it. So this is where lightweighting is crucial, and this is where composite technologies help to make products in this segment more efficient and more attractive to customers.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I collect electric bikes. So I have a collection. I actually have 14 bikes, and 6 of them are electric. And now we're coming out with carbon fiber electric bikes. And I'm just curious. So if I take the manufacturing process today and manufacture a bike, so it really fits kind of in the parameters of what you're talking about, depending upon how the frame is set up, how much less or how much more am I going to spend today? And when does that cost actually beat the cost of traditional manufacturing processes? And what do I get for it? Is it stronger?
I would
Is it better?
Yeah, I would say that we are quite not yet there with the bike frames, with the framing. There are approaches to that, and some of them are quite successful. Still, for now, bike frame is quite hard to print, because like the main limitation at the moment is still productivity. So that's why we're mostly working on smaller parts, because printing a bigger part can take you days or even weeks,
Right.
which is would not give you the right economics of that. But so this is possible if you focus, if you like if you fine tune your process, if you fine tune your machinery and materials in these exact bike frames, like one of our competitors did, and be quite successful in this particular topic. Yeah.
So when we go down through it, Fedor, what is the best application? So I have viewers from all over the world that are watching the show. What exactly would be the application would say today would be perfect for you? What are the 1, 2, and 3 perfect situations where you could really fit the products the right size, and you could gain the traction, the additional traction that you want?
Okay, good question. So that might not sound that sexy as flying cars, but this is a low-hanging fruit that we have for the technology today. So basically, there are two main barriers of 3D printing. One, I've already pointed out, that's productivity, and the second one is certification. Especially for new technologies, it's a difficult story, because when you need to prove everyone that this is safe, and you need to prove authorities that this is safe, and this takes a huge effort. So these two main barriers really limit us to go to the applications that we're dreaming of. But there are applications, these low-hanging fruits that we have today. First of them, and this is already quite a huge market, it's called tools, jigs, and fixtures, as they call them. So that's a large variety of different supplementary tooling for traditional technologies, such as fixtures for welding assembly. So you need to fix some part before you weld it to another, or grippers for lines where you need to, on a manufacturing automated line, where you need to move parts around and place them exactly and precisely in the position. And these fixtures or jaws, they need to have they need to be manufactured on demand, on site, fast, and especially when you're setting up a new production, you might try several different approaches and several different designs of these jigs. So, and these are needed by every manufacturing company. But of course, that's not an end-use part, which is a sweet spot. So then is what we call functional prototyping. So when you are designing, and when you are bringing a new product into market, you need to go through several iterations with the prototypes of your products. And basically 3D printing originally, like when it was born, like 30 years ago, they call it prototyping, because the main market for it was making these prototypes for testing how different parts fit to each other before you start production. But there is such called functional prototyping, and your prototype needs to work as it was a product. And in case if it's a car or if it's a bike or if it's whatever, it needs to sustain real operational loads. And for that, for your prototype, you need very robust materials. So if you would print it with plastic, it will not work. But if you will print it with carbon fiber, it will. But then when you switch to production, which is like maybe like hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands, millions parts per year, then the current limit of 3D printing could be a barrier for applying this technology in production. But this is where everyone wants to be in the future. So, and the third one is spare parts. When you have something broken on your bike or whatever, and especially if it's some unique part that you cannot get fast from the original manufacturer, and your service bureau would tell you, okay, we'll print, but it will take 3 months and $1,000 if we get the part. But if they can print it on site, it could be much faster and much cheaper. And again, this is this.
Now, how much? So you
spot.
looked at it. How much? Let's take $1,000 part just for the heck of it. Remember, I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania. We try to keep it simple. So if I got $1,000 part, how much less is it going to cost me to 3D print a part? Just in general, let's say the average, right?
Well, it's hard to find an average because it really depends on the technology. But if it's okay, we can see, up to 90%. Yeah? So it can be
90% less?
$100. Yeah.
So $1,000
In certain
part for
cases,
wow, that's incredible.
yeah. In certain cases, it can be $100 part instead of $1,000 part, especially if it's like really complex shape part that is, I don't know, made by casting, and to cast it, you need to make a mold, and that's a long and costly process, and that can cost you hundreds of thousands even to go through the whole process, but you can print it for a couple hundreds. But there are parts like which are, I don't know, metal bent, like simple things like your spoon, for example, which is made by stamping thousands of spoons every hour, then 3D printed spoon will be much more expensive. So you need to find the right
Mix
applications.
No, that sounds great. And so if you look at where you are you raising money today? What kind of money you want to raise, or where are you in terms of fundraising?
We've faced troubles with fundraising recently after Corona. So we were on a finishing line just before Corona hit, and but when it happened, we've lost the deal due to reasons, and then we were for a few months actually out of the deal because it had some binding conditions, and just a few months ago we got free. Dog is free now, and we are actively looking.
The dog is free now.
Dog, as in Harry Potter.
Yeah, I understand.
And we are.
How much you want to raise?
We are raising 5 million, and this is basically it's I would say seed or pre-series A. We have quite a good revenue this year, and I would say good growth compared to 2019. Actually, 2019 was our first year of sales, and we had a revenue a little bit less than $500,000, and this year 1.5.
You mean
So
last
3
year
times.
or this year? You mean this year coming up or last year?
Okay, yeah, I'm still living in 2020. Yeah, I mean, 2019 was our first year of sales where we had $500,000, and last year, 2020, we had 1.5. So we grew 3 times within the period, and I would say that printing is one of the beneficiaries maybe of the crisis, together with Zoom, like that
Zoom
we are
and
using.
mask and hand sanitizer and toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the simple things.
Yeah. So we are starting this phase again, and we are looking. So we are mostly selling in Europe and Asia at the moment. I always thought that like strategically, if you want to go to the biggest market, you need to be more focused and prepared.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you want to think about, when we talk about, so for instance, there are companies like Magna, companies like General Motors. Magna has an office in Silicon Valley. They're an Asian arm. I don't know if you know Magna. Magna is one of their largest contract manufacturing auto parts. They actually
Of course, I
bring
know.
cars together. So the head of one of the top guys in Magna, Kirk Buckmeyer, who's also on the board, is really a proponent of innovation coming out of places like Silicon Valley. Why Silicon Valley? Because the values are a lot higher, and there are a lot of people around that are really open-minded. It's really a port to the rest of the world. So, and I know Kurt directly, personally. So, in fact, they're making a new Fisker. So I don't know if you know the Fisker that went out and then came back. So they're involved in that. They do the Toyota Supra and with the new Z4. They're actually the contract manufacturer of that, among many other things. So it is finding the right kind of people at the right place at the right time. And you're right about it's finding the right kind of application where you can get the most bang for the buck. So those kind of high value parts, right? It's not going to be a spoon, but it's going to be something else that's high value.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes quite interesting. And I hear about a lot now, just so you know. And in fact, you're on VC Task Force. This is one of the top groups in the world working with VCs out of Silicon Valley. So you're at the right place at the right time.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So
That's really, and it is about it with the startups, it's really, you keep it simple. The simple part of it is what you want to do is you want to if you're going to go fishing, you go fishing in a pond that's got fish. You don't go down and say, I think they might have fish. You want to go where the fish are. So it was me, and I tell all the startups from all over the world the same thing all the time. And I'm sure Joel will agree with me, is what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're going to the place where there are opportunities and people have open minds and ideas, and really so if it doesn't matter if it's a Chinese company, if it's a Russian company, it's American company, European company, they have office. Many times they have innovation centers in Silicon Valley. So just FYI, it's a good place. The other thing is the valuations tend to be a bit higher in Silicon Valley than any other place in the world. Why? Because people get it. They understand what, this revolution, the technology you have. I've been working in 3D printer arena for 4 years, almost 5 years. So I can tell you this, what people are talking about is having like depots set up where you go in and say, I need a part, and just pick up your part right on the spot, right? And then it's just like copying used to be. Remember when you used to go to copying centers and you used to say, before we had copiers at our houses, now we all have printers and copiers, but before you would go in a place like Office Depot or Office Max or Kinko's, and you would go in and get it printed. And those kind of things, that's where this amazing technology like what you have works. And also for groups, imagine having an automobile company today and you're a dealer. And I know for myself, I have some limited edition cars, and it's hard as heck to get the parts. Imagine, for me, it's not only the cost, but the time to get the part. I don't want to wait 6 weeks for a nut or some type of a hinge. I want to be able to get it right away. So what you have gives you that opportunity to get the right product at the right place at the right time. So the other power is when you're going down through it, the other power is the power of marketing, sales, and business development. And some of the things that people don't talk about is you need that kind of power, and you need the operations power to really drive your company forward. And Joel, how many times have we heard this at VC Task Force, right?
Yep. No, absolutely. What you're doing there, Ted, is amazing. And composites, I know that they've been around for a while, but to see them coming into their own like this is amazing. It's for the mass market.
It's revolutionary and getting it out to market. Remember, it's one thing, I say it's like having a Ferrari in the garage. It's great to have a Ferrari in the garage, but nobody ever sees it. It's just your Ferrari. And if some people like that, it's okay. But I don't know if you're like me, I like to drive Ferraris and I like to get out on a track. So I want to see what the stuff, if you got the right stuff. So the key is get it out to the market, get it out to the environment, get it out so people can see what you have. And creating the narrative around it is incredibly important, Ted. Going down through and creating a narrative that actually makes sense. And one of the things that Steve Jobs did a really good job, but he would practice 6 weeks to do his presentations at the Moscone Center over and over and over again. And people said, well, he's just a really good speaker. In reality, he wasn't. Listen to his early speaking engagements. He was cutting and compartmentalized and slow and choppy. So make sure when you're creating the story, that story lasts forever. Think differently. Want to come up with your wow statements. I had a conversation with Bill Reichert recently. Think differently. So those kind of things. I love what you have. I love the ideas that you bring out, and you got the right background, having a PhD and having done this and start off with a hard scientist and really move forward is incredible. But again, make sure you get the Ferrari out of the garage. It's just your Ferrari if you're looking at it, right? So, so closing thoughts. As an entrepreneur, you're from Russia originally, correct?
Correct.
And so you moved to Luxembourg. So what advice would you give to other startups that are out there from all over the world? If you could say, one thing that's really important in terms of being a successful entrepreneur, what would you say that would be?
Oh, very good question. I thought of that, and I've heard that there is an idea. I thought of that just today, actually, and there was an idea that for entrepreneur focus is very important, and I was thinking about it, and what I can tell about myself, I'm not really focused person. So for me, I always have new ideas, and I'm excited when I'm having new ideas, and I want to test them immediately and see how it goes, and then I can energize myself and people around. And if I see that it really goes, and then I continue pushing it, but then new ideas are born. So I think that for Bill Gates, it might be focus is the most important. But for me, I think when I was thinking about that, I think it's important to know your strength points. Where are you strong, and what drives you and what drives others? Because I think for especially at an early stage, it's very important that you have energy, and you're fountaineering with energy, and you charge everyone around with your energy and your ideas. And to be able to do that, especially on the long run, and startup is never like a sprint. Yeah? You need to find in yourself where you can get this energy from, and these like strong points, and focus on them. So, again.
Fedor, yesterday I had Per Wimmer, who's a very, very wealthy philanthropist, entrepreneur. He's an astronaut. He works with Richard Branson. He's got 4 companies, 4 master's degrees, including Harvard, and a law degree, master's of law. Very, very nice person. So I had him on my show yesterday, GSD Presents. And there were some things that he said were very similar to what you say. And this is a guy that actually went over Mount Everest in a parachute at 30,000 feet to be the first tandem jumper there. And he's also in Russia. He went to Baikonur, and he flew in a MiG at 80,000 feet to get up to where the Earth curves and you come up to space. But he said some things yesterday that were incredible to me. And so bringing people along, as you said, to bring people along in a consensus. He said something very interesting to me. He said he was in Monaco or Monte Carlo at this film festival, and there was somebody that took a taxi ahead of him. Now, he could have gotten angry and said, "Why are you taking this taxi? It's really his." And the guy said he called the taxi, and the guy was a bit rude, an Italian person, and he's, his just thing is philosophy, be nice because you never know what's going to happen. Well, he was nice. And the Italian let him get in the car with them and actually gave him a ride back to his hotel. And they developed such a relationship that he actually bought 51% of his company, the Italian's company. And he told me, he said, when I was doing, when I went into Mount Everest and I parachuted over there at 30,000 around at what, 9,000 meters up, he said, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I trusted my team. And as I was up there, as I was coming over to do this, I found a couple of people to do photography and cinematography for me, just on a personal thing. He said, I never thought that by doing this parachuting and bringing this team over that it would be a hit and I would win the Danish Film Festival award for a documentary. And he said, part of it is being happy. Part of it is attracting the right kind of people. And you're right. Part of it is visualizing and focusing on what you want. It's critically important to do that as a human being. That's why, many of the startups fail, but it's having that focus and desire and ability and wanting to win. And the other thing is keeping the curiosity of a child all the time, no matter how old you are, because it keeps you young. That curiosity drives your existence and drives that life instinct. So always keep that. Fedor, I want to say, I really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule. And I'd like to thank you, say thanks to the entire VC Task Force team for allowing Gary's Picks to become available every other week. It's great to be here, and it's great to see the support from Silicon Valley for incredible companies just like yours. It is the time to get out there. 3D printing is right. 3D printing of composite materials is hot. You need to get out there, get this stuff done, and move as quickly as you can, and do stay focused. So with that, Joel, thank you very much for making Gary's Picks possible one more time. And thank you for your time today.
And thank you, both you gentlemen, Gary and Ted. Excellent interview. Really insightful, and I'm sure the audience is really going to appreciate it. I'd like to invite everybody back in 2 weeks for the next Gary's Picks. It's going to be Dr. Holger Bartel. He's the CEO and founder of RealRate. So we'll look forward to that in 2 weeks. Thank you all again, everybody out there. Have a great week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
See you later, and stay safe, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gary, Joel. Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait a second. I don't think I closed this.